This is the Mets Postcast, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Mets avoid getting swept. They avoid a 4-game losing streak, and they will head back to New York with a win in their back pocket as the offense, one guy in particular, breaks out a 5 spot, and they defeat the Boston Red Sox by a final score of 5-1. Welcome into the Mets Postcast, live here on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel and on the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I am your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. And everybody breathe a sigh of relief. Tonight felt a lot better than what we have seen over the last couple of days. Perfect? No. All fixed? No. But better. A better result for the Mets offensively. It didn't start that way, but it certainly ended that way for New York, who were able to put up 5 runs in this one and get some great pitching across the board, starting with Tylor Megill and finishing with what we saw from the bullpen, capped off by Edwin Diaz there in the 9th inning. The big story, the big topic, the big headline from this game, what we will be talking about is we started this game tonight and the lineup looked very, very different.
This is what you'll be talking about.
We mentioned this last night. A bunch of you asked in the live stream, Chris, would you change the lineup? Chris, do you think there's going to be a new lineup? What can this team do to try to get things on track? And I cautioned against doing too much. I cautioned against the over-tinkering that you could potentially do when making lineup changes. And the Mets provided a different look today. Against the lefty and Garrett Crochet, there was no Brendan Nimmo in the lineup. Used this as an off day for him. There was no Jeff McNeil in the lineup. Used this as an off day for him. And it was number 2 hitter Starling Marte with Juan Soto moved down to the 3 spot. Now, I feel a little bit more comfortable saying this after the Mets score 5 runs and win the baseball game, so it doesn't feel like I'm piling on. I did not love what we saw today from the Mets lineup. I do not think Starling Marte is a long-term answer at the 2 spot. I don't think there are enough quality at-bats that he can give you. Yes, he can give you an at-bat like you saw tonight against Garrett Crochet in his first at-bat, 10 pitches. He can do that. But for every one at-bat that he gives you like that, there are 3 or 4 where it's 3 pitches and Starling Marte is going right back to the dugout. So with Lindor batting leadoff, with Soto and Alonso, you want those guys up with run-scoring opportunities. Starling Marte being sandwiched in between them doesn't necessarily feel like the right fit. Perhaps you just wanted to spark something tonight. You liked Marte as the right-handed bat against the lefty Crochet. Fine. I don't love it. It should not be a long-term thing for this team. It's just, I don't think going to allow them to have a ton of great results. And Mendy really leaned into getting the righties in the game. Got Acuna in there, got Marte in there, got Torrens in there. And so clearly an attempt to spark something, clearly an attempt to change things up. Soto moving down to the 3 spot did not look comfortable tonight. We'll get to that here in just a second. So Carlos Mendoza making some adjustments to the lineup, and yes, results-wise, it worked, but I don't know if there's some staying power with what we saw here tonight. The offense gets 5 runs. Brett Baty in the lineup against the lefty, and he drives in 3 runs, including the big hit there in the 7th inning. A 2 RBI single going the other way, put one into the left field corner that allows the Mets to take a 3-1 lead. That 7th inning, a crucial moment in the game. The Mets got base traffic right away. They got the leadoff man on for the 5th time in the first 7 innings. Torrens gets a leadoff single. They then get Acuna up with first and second. And I got to tell you, this didn't cost the Mets tonight because of the way the at-bat played out. But we need to talk about what I thought was a bad decision to ask Luis Angel Acuna to bunt in that spot with first and second. The context of the game at that point, it is 1-1. You have missed a lot of opportunities in this game already. The Mets had put base traffic on. A leadoff double in the first by Lindor, nothing. They only get 1 run in the 2nd inning after a leadoff walk by Vientos. And then Torrens hits a double to set up 2nd and 3rd with no outs. You only get 1 run in that portion of the game. So you had your chances. You only had 1 run to show for it. a bad fifth inning allowed Boston back into the game, and you are still struggling. Again, the numbers are better than what we've expected, but not pretty. 8 men left on base, 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. And you ask Acuna to bunt in that spot. You have been taking some really bad at bats over the last couple of days. And not so much as in you're hitting into double plays, although they've been doing that and not moving the run over. You've just been giving free outs. And so with at bats over the last couple of days that have been giving free outs, the last thing I would want to do with my offense is purposefully give even more free outs. And so the Acuna bunt I thought was a mistake. Luckily, he gets to a 2-strike count and then puts one play. Mets are able to challenge it. It gets overturned. The bases are loaded. And then Brett Baty is able to deliver by making it 3-1. And the bunt doesn't have to be questioned after that. But an offense that was better tonight. It was not its best. Francisco Lindor, 2 for 5. He hit a big home run in this one for an insurance run to the deep part of the Green Monster. A lot of multi-hit games in this lineup tonight. Luis Torrens, who got a start, he goes 2 for 3. Luis Angel Acuna goes 2 for 4. We already mentioned Baty in the 2 for 4 tonight with the 3 RBIs. The bottom part of the lineup, Torrens, Tylor, Acuna, Baty, combined for 7 of the Mets' 10 hits. So when you can get the bottom of your lineup to try to set things up for the top part, that's when you can start to get out of this rut, right? We know what Lindor is going to do at some point. We know what Soto is going to do. We know what Alonso is going to do. We know what Vientos is going to do. We know that those guys, they're going through some lulls right now. It's a slump across the board, but these guys are going to snap out of it, and they're going to start putting up some really big numbers. And so to get 7 hits of your 10 from the last 4 guys in the lineup, that is a really encouraging sign, because if those guys can continue to produce, you're not going to keep Lindor down for the rest of the season. Soto, Alonso, those guys are going to start to come through. And if they've got Torrens and Acuna and Baty and Tylor getting on base in front of them, the Mets are going to be able to put up more nights like they did tonight. There's going to be some more crooked numbers in their future. So really good tonight from the Mets offense, specifically the bottom part there. And the at bats, at times, the first couple of innings, not so great. But in that 7th inning, really good. In the 2nd inning, when they got that run, Torrens with a really good at-bat to set things up at 2nd and 3rd with nobody out. So much better from the offense tonight. They did have some things that were concerning. You want proof that a team is pressing. You want proof that a team is thinking about the struggles that they're in right now. Watch the first couple of at-bats from Juan Soto. Watch in the 2nd inning after it's 2nd and 3rd with nobody out. Tylor hits a first pitch pop-up. Acuna, the next batter, hits a first pitch ground out. The Mets kind of flirted with, after 2nd and 3rd and nobody out, getting no runs after Tylor and Acuna swing at the first pitch and give 2 easy outs and don't advance the runner. So team still pressing a little bit. Team still trying to snap themselves out of the funk. They just have to get back to playing their brand of baseball. And I'm sure the result tonight, I'm sure getting enough runs, I'm sure Brett Baty coming through, getting a great start from Tylor Megill, getting a good outing from the bullpen, and being able to travel back home for a series with the Dodgers over the weekend with a win, snapping the losing streak, is certainly going to raise the spirits of this ball club. We got to talk about Tylor Megill looking more like the April version of himself. We got to talk about Huascar Brazoban and this bullpen continuing to be an asset, especially in a game like tonight. We will get to all of that and your thoughts here on the other side. You ever check your bank account and you wonder, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money, it isn't just a budgeting app. Think of it as a complete financial command center. You're going to be able to track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. You're going to stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps and the pain of switching and looking at different numbers and trying to make it all make sense, you can use Monarch Money to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Again, all in one place. You want to manage money with a partner? Easier and smoother than ever with Monarch Money. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page, and you remove the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com. You're going to get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Back here, the Mets Postcast, Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast. Feed the Mets, defeat the Boston Red Sox. They avoid a 4-game losing streak. They avoid a sweep at the hands of Boston. They'll return home feeling good about themselves, putting up 5 runs, having some good at-bats, getting the production, and ultimately the most important thing in the game of baseball, going home with a W. Tylor Megill, we were worried. I know you were worried. I was worried. The Tylor Megill experience in May had been going very similarly to the way that it had done in his career. And with the struggles that the Mets bats have been going through, it just felt like a recipe for disaster. It felt like Megill was going to struggle. The offense was going to continue to struggle. And we were going to be talking about a team that had lost 4 in a row and got swept for the first time this season. But Tylor Megill threw it back. Apparently, he woke up today and thought it was April 21st, not May 21st, because for the first 4 innings of this game, that was April Tylor Megill. That is the Tylor Megill that we all know. We talk about the Tylor Megill experience here on the postcast in full form today. You watch him in April, you get all excited. You think he's finally unlocked it. You get to May, he struggles. You're down on Tylor Megill. You're ready to be out, and then he pulls you back in. He did it a little earlier this year. He pulled you back in May. Over those 4 innings, it was simple. And sometimes it's the simple approach that can lead to the best results. I'm going to throw my really good fastball. I'm going to locate it really well. And there's nothing that you can do about it. How about 10 strikeouts for Tylor Megill tonight? He threw so many well-located fastballs. As a team, the Mets tonight got 16 strikeouts. When you look up and down, 4 strikeouts from Bregman, Abreu with 2, Story with 2, Narvaez with 2, Rafaela with 2. You got multiple guys up and down this lineup with multi-strikeout games. The Mets pitching just had it. It started with Tylor Megill, but I wish, for Tylor's sake, he could have walked off the mound tonight feeling good and feeling confident and having a decent result. But that 5th inning just kind of went sideways on him, and not all his fault. A couple of balls hit on the infield. He's got to make a better play there on that ball hit right in front of him, but it's a weird, awkward angle, so I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt there. A ball that Lindor gets to, but it's a tough play to try to flip it to Luis Angel Acuna to get an out. So now you got some damage. The mistake in the inning is the hit by pitch to load up the bases. I thought the right call by Carlos Mendoza to have the quick hook there. You know your offense isn't doing a whole lot. You got to win the game right here. You got to keep the game close. You have to keep the game 1-1, maybe 2-1 at worst. And so having the quick hook there, I thought made sense. But Tylor Megill through the first 4 innings, tying a career high in strikeouts with 10, and it was just fastball, fastball, fastball. He threw a ton of them in this game, and that's what allowed him to be in front of hitters and feeling really good about things. Tylor Megill faced 20 batters tonight. First pitch strikes to 13 of the 20 batters. That is what's going to allow him to get back to the guy that we saw in April. Get those first pitch overs for strikes. Start working ahead in the count, because when he loses a batter and draws a walk, that's when things start to spiral. I thought, truthfully, he had an at-bat. He had an at-bat to Story. So right after he misplays the ball to allow the leadoff guy on in the 5th, he went right after Trevor Story. And I'll pull up the game log here just to make sure that I get it correct. But I believe it was a strikeout on 3 pitches. Yeah, it was looking, and swinging right after the infield hit. And I thought, okay, this is Tylor Megill proving to us in one at-bat that he's good. He's fine. Because you could see the writing on the wall. The bad misplay by him. He had been cruising for 4 innings, couple 1, 2, 3 innings in there. And now Boston's got some base traffic. Now Boston's going to be able to threaten here a little bit. And he responded with the quick strikeout of Story. I thought, man, this is going to be quick work for Tylor Megill. He's going to finish 5 innings. We can talk about a 6th. This is going to be a great day at the office. So unfortunate that he had to walk off that mound without that inning completed. 4 2/3, the final number for Megill in this one. But considering where he had been in the month of May, easily the best start we've seen from him in a little bit. And hopefully he takes away some good things from this one, and specifically the command, the location, and just the trust in that fastball of this pitch is good. Even if you know where it's going to be, it's a hard one to catch up to. So really liked to see Tylor Megill do that. And listen, the unsung hero of the New York Mets bullpen, perhaps, I know Edwin Diaz has been great this season, hasn't blown a save yet. The best reliever in the bullpen for the New York Mets might be Huascar Braziman. He's got a sub-1 ERA down to 0.90 is his ERA, closely chased by Reed Garrett and his 0.95 ERA. But my goodness, Huascar Braziman is a gem. This has been an ultimate find by David Stearns and the New York Mets. And he struggled a little bit when he first got here last year. But this year, he has been a lights-out, trusted guy here. And you know what the best part about it is? He's been used everywhere. The first guy out of the pen in the 5th or 6th inning, giving you multi-innings, he can do that. the emergency closer because you have a bunch of guys not available, he can do that no problem. You need him in the 7th and the 8th inning because you have Edwin Diaz, but you don't have a Reed Garrett or a Ryan Stanek this given night. He can go into that spot as well. No matter what role, what leverage situation he needs to be put in, he goes in there and he thrives. That is a huge asset to a bullpen. You look across Major League Baseball, they are struggling to find who's my high leverage guys, who's my medium leverage guys, what's my plan of attack with the bullpen. The New York Mets have a guy in Huascar Brazoban who can go in any leverage, can go in any inning, can go into any situation, and we should feel confident that he is going to be able to get those outs. Ray asking if he's an all-star. The stats, pitching-wise, certainly deserve some consideration. I don't know with the way that the voting works on this if he'll ultimately get in there, but man, he is just a huge, huge asset to this team, and it was on display once again. Reed Garrett had a good night out, allowed one hit, but again, a scoreless inning for him. He lowered his ERA to .95 on the season, and yes, a leadoff walk for Edwin Diaz, but that was it. That was all that he allowed, a shutout inning out there. So doing some quick math here, that is 4 1/3 scoreless innings out of the pen tonight between Brazoban, Garrett, and Diaz. There's one thing. I know we had that brief little sideways series in Washington with Ryan Stanek and some members of the bullpen, and they had been taxed at times, but this bullpen is easily the strength of this ball club right now. Tylor Megill got back on track tonight, but the bullpen has been a strength, and they certainly won this game for them tonight, being able to keep it at 1-1 for the large part of the contest until the Mets were able to get some runs across there in the 7th inning. Let's make sure we talk about Brett Baty a little bit more in depth, because to get the 2 hits tonight, to get the 3 RBIs, doing it against a lefty, being trusted mainly because they're just looking for offense, to be there in the lineup at third base because of the defense that he provides. Boy, does that probably have to feel good for Brett Baty to get the hits that he got off a lefty. Stayed in there against the lefty in the 7th inning, goes the other way, doesn't try to do too much, just goes the other way, deposits one in the left field corner, and plates 2 runs. And the Mets are going to need Brett Baty to step up. They are, because Vientos' defense has been a big question mark. I think while Jesse Winker is still out and not in the DH spot, they probably feel comfortable, especially after the hits against the lefties tonight. You can probably just run out Brett Baty at third, Vientos at DH every day, and feel really good about the production that you'll be able to get, both hitting and defensively, with Baty over Vientos at third base. The Mets snap a 3-game losing streak, their first one of the season. They avoid getting swept. They have not been swept yet so far this campaign. It's an off day tomorrow. Then it's a 3-game series against the Dodgers. A little bit of a programming note before we get out of here. I don't know when the next time you and I will be together. I know we say Mets postcast after each and every game throughout the course of the season. Got some family stuff going on this weekend. We're going to try to be here for a couple of games throughout the series, but I don't want to make any promises with family in town, and got some stuff going on behind the scenes. But I hope to speak with you again throughout this Dodger series, at least at one point, a really big series for this club, and would love to see the little bump that they've hit here over the last couple of days, getting back on track with this win tonight, how they stack up with a Dodgers team that necessarily isn't playing their best baseball. I know they won last night, but before that had lost 4 in a row. So they're a team that also is on a similar path right now as the New York Mets. So it'll be really cool. A little NLCS rematch. First time these two teams are meeting up since then. So it'll be really fun to see how these two teams play against each other. We'll see Clayton Kershaw in this series as well. So looking forward to it. So hopefully we'll be back here to break it all down on the Mets postcast. But subscribe, turn on that notification bell so that you're notified when we go live, either myself with the postcast or Ryan when he goes live here on the channel as well. That will do it for us. The story of this one, the Mets get enough offense. It's better. Still struggling a little bit. Still some situational hitting issues, but they do enough. They get the 5 runs. They get great starting pitching through the first 4 innings for Tylor Megill, and their bullpen continues to be a massive, massive asset for this squad. They will head off for an off day, back home with a win in their back pocket. They'll welcome in the Dodgers. Talk to you later, everybody.